violence, and I condemn that strongly in a strong term. But to suggest that the English Defence League does like Muslims, are just against extremism is laughable. Their record speaks for itself. You're fascist. Absolutely. John Denham is absolutely right. If you talk to, as I did yesterday, to a survivor of those Cable Street demonstrations by Oswald Mosley and its British Union of Fascists, who reminded me that she thinks history is repeating itself today with the English Defence League and its affiliated bodies. I do want an honest and open debate about the issues that concern us: extremism, terrorism, cohesion, but it should not be done to whip up hatred towards minorities, and Muslims cannot be used as victims and as a punching bag, and I totally condemn your actions today.
Let's just clarify then. The English Defence League was not even invented when the Luton protest happened. That was a group called United People of Luton. There was no English Defence League. So to blame that on the English Defence League once again is naive on your behalf, because you should have looked into it properly. And our first protest in Birmingham was completely peaceful. We were congratulated by the police.
There were 90 arrests in the last protest in Birmingham.
No, in the last one. I said our first one. There's been 3 in Birmingham. There's been 3.
And at the last protest, there were 90 arrests.
Yeah, there were 90 arrests. And what can I say? If people are coming out to protest, and if people aren't just taking the streets for no reason, there really is an issue here. And the issue
What's the issue? What's the issue, Tommy?
Islamic fundamentalists are in our colleges, our universities, and on our city centres.
No, but give us an example, Tommy. You're making these very generalised statements about extremism being present.
An example was the Islamic Roadshow in Birmingham City Centre on the 6th of June, in which Anjem Chowdhury, under the banner saying Jesus was a Muslim, converted an 11-year-old kid, Sean, 11 being under the age of criminality, to Islam. Islam, not a moderate form of Islam, a jihadist form of Islam, where they want to take over our country and they hate everything about our country. Now, I'm not being funny, but let's take the scenario that Sean's dad is fighting for the British Army out in Afghanistan, putting his life on the line, and while he's out there fighting Al Qaeda, we've got Al Qaeda on the streets of Birmingham converting his child.
Well, this is the sort of problem that we've got. We can't have a rational debate without throwing labels. I mean, Al Qaeda is not present in Birmingham or any of the major UK cities. Anjem Chowdhury, look, I'm not here to represent. Anjem Chowdhury does not represent the Muslim community. Can I finish, Tommy?
I tell you this. I tell you both this. You're not going to shout over each other tonight. Mohammed Shafiq.
Anjem Chowdhury does not represent the British Muslim community. He represents the margins of society in the same way that the fascist English Defence League do not represent the vast majority of the British people that believe in cohesion, that believe in respect, that believe in the freedom for people to practice their faith. Yes, we've got common issues. Yes, there are common challenges around extremism and terrorism, but we can deal with that together in partnership by not having demonstrations and hurling abuse at each other, but by sitting down and practically working through the issues.
And Tommy, the Communities Minister, John Denham, has made it very, very clear. He says if you look at the types of demonstrations that the EDL has organised, the language used and the targets chosen, it looks pretty clear that it's a tactic designed to provoke, to get a response and create violence.
Can I just explain that the tactics we've used is merely to follow the Islamic Roadshow. All we're doing is following Anjem Chowdhury's Islamic Roadshow. Now, at the end of the day, why are Islamic leaders not coming out and calling for the Islamic Roadshow where they hold a banner up saying Jesus was a Muslim?
What planet are you living on, Tommy? What planet are you living on? I have been consistent. Stephen can vouch this. Many times I've come on 5 Live and I've attacked these people and spoken out against them. So this notion idea that Muslim leaders and Muslim organisations haven't come out and spoken against it is a bit laughable.
Let's let Tommy finish now.
We sat back and watched after that happened to that child in Birmingham, and we waited to see if Salma Yaqub or all the Muslim representatives, the head of the councils in Birmingham, the head of the mosques, we waited to see if they come out and they condemned it, and they called for not only Anjem Chowdhury to be arrested, but for his group to be banned from the city, and they did nothing. And they've done nothing, but yet they're all calling for the English.
So this is one incident involving an 11-year-old child that you're continuing these protests about, is it?
It's not one incident. Let's wake up. It's happening all over our country. Look what happened to the soldiers. What happened to that child? The Islamic Roadshow is travelling across the whole of Britain, calling for Sharia to be implemented. It's not one incident. That roadshow needs banning. And it is inciting. That roadshow is inciting religious and racial hatred. For them people to stand on the streets calling for Sharia law, the execution of gays, well, precisely. So why
obviously they would deny that. Mohammed Shafiq?
They're not going to deny it. It's the fact.
Tommy, you can't have it both ways. You can't, in the one hand, talk about freedom of speech and the freedom to protest, and then deny the right. Then deny the right in a liberal democracy to other groups. I think we can when it overlaps into inciting and causing. You're saying all this community cohesion and all this bad feeling is coming from us taking to the streets. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that. What I'm saying is that if you were practically wanting to deal with these issues in a positive way, you would come and sit down with groups. You wouldn't launch yourself and abuse. I mean, you've got Nazis. You've got people, Nazis and fascists, Tommy, who participate in your demonstrations, who make anti-Muslim remarks, who Nazi salutes, who make remarks against Pakistanis.
I've seen banners. Hold on, Mohammed. I have seen banners among the EDL protests which say we hate the Nazis as much as we hate the Muslim extremists. I've seen them carry them.
Thank you.
Just because
don't you don't need to thank me.
No, I mean this is the point. I mean just because you've got judge a person by its record. The English Defence League. I was there, one of their rallies, in Birmingham, where people were clearly using Nazi salutes. I mean look at the newspaper coverage in the Guardian newspaper on page 14 today. There is clearly people with Nazi salutes. I've got an issue about terrorism. It's evil. It's sick, and it's got to be eradicated from our streets. But we do that through working in partnership.
That's it. We're saying home tonight. David in Inverness. Hello, David.
Hi, nice to speak to you.
Go ahead, David.
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic that someone's standing up for the English because, I mean, we're just being messed on all over by these Muslims. It's absolutely awful. I mean, the reason I'm...
Listen to that, David. Listen to what you've just said.
No, I love it. I love what I've just said.
Do you? Tell me why.
Because I love my country and I've had to move out of it because the Muslims are absolutely taken over. That's why. And I tell you what, where I live, around Inverness, it's absolutely full of English people who are exactly the same. And I can take you to meet them people if you want, yeah?
Say again, David?
I said, where I live, it's absolutely full of English people who've moved out of England for the same reason. We've had enough, yeah? We've had enough.
You just don't like...
Muslims telling us what to do, when to do it.
And when do they tell you what to do, David?
You know far well what I mean. They're absolutely everywhere. They're multiplying. I mean, they're having like 3 or 4 kids. You know, that means in about 20 years' time, we're having what? 1 kid, 2 kid a family, most of us.
You're a blatant racist, are you?
Yeah, if that's what you want to call me, then that's what I am, yeah?
What would you call yourself?
It just comes up an Englishman.
Right, an Englishman from Inverness.
Yeah.
That proves my point, exactly.
And you're laughing at this guy, Tommy. Do you condemn what David says?
Obviously, David sounds worried. I do.
Why don't you condemn his racist language?
Hold on, Mohammed, I'm asking the questions. Tommy, do you condemn what he says when he says that Muslims are running us out of the country, that they're multiplying more than other people? Do you condemn comments like that or not?
I can't condemn him saying they multiply more than other people, because they are. It's probably a fact. I can't condemn a fact. But what I do condemn is if he's against all Muslims, which we don't. Anjem Choudhury attaches himself to Islam, yeah? We don't condemn the whole of Islam.
We're not talking about Anjem Choudhury.
No, but we don't condemn the whole of Islam because of that. The English Defence League might have people who...
Tommy, why can't you bring yourself to condemn this person whilst you're expecting Muslim leaders and Muslim organisations to condemn terrorists and extremists and right-wing people within our community? But then when you're asked to condemn this person and this activity, you don't condemn his actions.
All right, so Tommy, here's the test.
Yeah.
David's still on the line.
Yeah.
What would you advise him? How would you advise him to rethink?
How would I advise them to rethink? Basically, what we're telling people now, if there are issues you feel with Islamic fundamentalism...
No, not Islamic fundamentalism with Muslims. David does not like Muslims.
I can't tell him who to like and who not to like.
Can you not?
Thank you.
Well, okay. Well, how can I tell him? I'm not going to force myself upon him.
What advice would you give him about his thinking around Muslims?
I don't need brainwashing. Yeah.
I'm not going to give him. How can I give him advice? Because I don't know what his past experiences are.
Here's the deal, Tommy.
Yeah.
You're in a national network radio program. Yeah. You've got a guy, David, here that's saying he just doesn't like Muslims. Now, can you give him any advice?
Advice? Well, do you know any Muslims, David? Or do you know any Muslims personally, or is it all on propaganda and what's on the TV? I can't tell him how to think, obviously. I don't know if he knows me. I don't know where he's coming from on that angle. You need to ask him.
This is typical of the fascist movement. They're very quick to put labels on other people, but they're very.
What do you want me to tell David? Yes, you better like Muslims.
No, I'm not saying that. I mean, if he doesn't
what
like.
What are you saying then?
What I'm trying to say is
no, that's what you're saying. You're telling me to tell him to like Muslims. No, I can't tell him to do that.
Maybe he should. Maybe Tommy, he should take every human being as they come.
Being. Absolutely. I mean,
maybe he should, but that's still not for me to tell David, is it?
But yeah, you're very quick to